The sun rose over the Arizona desert, painting the research facility in golden light. Today was special. After years of distant communication, the first Nularian delegation was arriving on Earth. Dr. Alan Wright adjusted his tie for the fifth time and looked in the mirror. At 42, his brown hair showed touches of gray, and the lines around his eyes had deepened from years of peering through microscopes. "Just don't say anything stupid," he told his reflection dot as the facilities. Leading xenobiologist, Alan had studied the Nularians from afar for 3 years. Tall, with skin that shifted between blue and purple hues depending on their emotional state, they were remarkably similar to humans in basic structure, yet fascinatingly different in their biology. The hallway buzzed with activity as Alan made his way to the landing pad. Scientists, diplomats, and security personnel hurried about, making final preparations. His friend Sam caught up with him, slightly out of breath. "Can you believe it? Actual aliens, here, today?" Sam's excitement was contagious. "Try not to drool on them," Alan said with a smile. They joined the welcoming party outside. The morning air was cool and dry. In the distance, a silver ship appeared in the sky, growing larger as it approached. Its surface gleamed in the sunlight, smooth and without visible engines or windows. It descended silently, touching down on the landing pad without stirring even a speck of dust. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a section of the hull simply dissolved, revealing an opening. 6 figures emerged, walking with perfect grace despite Earth's different gravity. The tallest Nularian stepped forward. "I am Krelter, Chief Ambassador of Nularia. We bring greetings from across the stars." His English was perfect, with only a slight musical quality to the words. Dr. Olivia Carter, the facility director, stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, welcome to our world," the formal introductions continued. Alan noticed one of the Nularians watching him with particular interest. Her skin was a deeper blue than the others, and she wore what appeared to be some kind of metal device at the base of her neck. When her turn came, she stepped forward. "I am Zarevak, lead scientist of Biological Exchange." Her voice was softer than Krelter's, but carried the same musical quality. "I look forward to sharing knowledge with Earth scientists." Her eyes met Alan's, and he felt a strange connection, as if they had somehow already met. He nodded respectfully. The delegation moved inside for the formal reception. Scientists and diplomats mingled awkwardly at first, but soon the ice began to break. Alan found himself in conversation with Zara about the comparative structure of human and Nularian cells. "Your mitochondria are fascinating," she said, her skin shifting to a lighter blue that Alan had learned indicated intellectual excitement. "So inefficient compared to our energy processors, yet you've built an entire civilization with them," Alan laughed. "We make do with what we have." Zara tilted her head. "A very human trait, I'm learning, making do." As they talked, Alan noticed Zara occasionally touching the device on her neck. Each time, a slight flicker of discomfort crossed her face. "Is your translator malfunctioning?" he asked as she shook her head. "Not a translator? A bioregulator. It's single quotes S. She paused. "Personal medical technology." Before Alan could ask more, Director Carter called for everyone's attention. "If you'll all move to the presentation hall, we've prepared a demonstration of our latest medical technologies." As the crowd moved, Alan found himself separated from Zara. He spotted her across the room, now looking noticeably paler. The blue of her skin had dulled to an ashy gray. She swayed slightly where she stood. Something was wrong. Alan started moving toward her, pushing gently through the crowd. He was still 10 feet away when Zara suddenly grabbed at the device on her neck. Her eyes widened in panic. "Help," she whispered, the word barely audible. Then her legs gave way. Alan lunged forward, catching her before she hit the floor. The room erupted in confusion. The other Nularians rushed over, their skin flushing dark purple fear Alan remembered from his studies. "What happened?" Krelter demanded, kneeling beside them. "I don't know," Alan said. "She just collapsed." Her bioregulator, she was. Touching it earlier, looking uncomfortable. Krelter's hand went to the device on Zara's neck. "It's malfunctioning." His voice was tight with alarm. "We need to get her back to the ship." "No," Alan said firmly. "Moving her might make things worse? We have a medical bay here." He looked up at the stunned faces around them. "I need a medical team now." Director Carter was already on her communicator. Within minutes, a team arrived with a hover stretcher. They carefully lifted Zara and rushed her to the medical bay. With Alan and Krelter hurrying alongside Dot in the sterile white room, human doctors looked helplessly at their alien patient. Their scanners weren't calibrated for Nularian physiology. Zara's breathing had become shallow, and her skin was now almost gray. "The bioregulator manages a genetic condition," Krelter explained. "Without it, her body cannot produce a crucial enzyme." "What enzyme?" Alan asked. "You have no equivalent." "It regulates how our cells process energy." The head doctor shook his head. "We're flying blind here. Without understanding her biology better, anything we do could make things worse." Krelter turned to another Nularian. "Contact the ship. Have them prepare a message to Homeworld. We need a replacement regulator." "How long will that take?" Alan asked. "To send the message, receive a response, and have a new device delivered." Krelter's skin darkened further. "Weeks, at minimum." Alan looked at Zara's still form on the bed. "Does she have weeks?" Krelter met his gaze steadily. "Without a functioning regulator, she has approximately 72 hours before complete organ failure." The room fell silent. Alan looked at the alien woman, remembering the intelligence in her eyes, the curiosity in her voice as they discussed cellular structures. A first contact that should have been historic was turning into a tragedy. "I want all the data you have on her condition and how the bioregulator functions," Alan said suddenly. "Every detail." "Why?" Krelter asked. "Because I'm not going to stand here and watch her die without trying something, anything, to help." Director Carter pulled him aside. "Dr. Wright, I understand your concern, but this is now a diplomatic situation. We can't interfere with their medical practices." "With all due respect, Director, if she dies here on our planet during first contact, that's a diplomatic disaster." Alan looked back at Zara. "I have to try." He didn't add what he was really thinking, that somewhere across the vastness of space was a civilization that had reached out to humanity in peace. And now one of their people was dying, far from home, while humans stood by helplessly. That wasn't how this story was going to end. Not if Alan had anything to say about it. Night fell over the research facility. Most staff had gone home, but lights still burned in the medical bay where Zara lay unconscious. Her skin had faded to a dull gray-blue. Machines beeped steadily, monitoring vital signs that human doctors barely understood. Alan sat beside her bed, surrounded by data tablets. His eyes burned from hours of reading, but he couldn't stop. Krelter entered the room, his normally perfect posture now slightly stooped with worry. "You should rest, Dr. Wright." Alan rubbed his eyes. "I will, soon." He gestured to the screens around him. "I'm starting to understand how her bioregulator works. It's incredible technology." "It was designed specifically for Zara," Krelter said, looking at his unconscious colleague. "Her condition is rare among our people." "What exactly does it do?" Alan asked. Krelter sat down heavily. "Her body cannot produce an enzyme called VEC7. Without it, her cells cannot properly convert nutrients to energy. The bioregulator creates the enzyme and delivers it directly to her bloodstream." Alan nodded slowly. "Like an artificial organ." "Yes, but much more complex than anything your technology could create." Krelter didn't say it unkindly, but the implication was clear. The door opened again, and Director Carter walked in. She looked tired and stressed. "Dr. Wright, a word?" Alan followed her into the hallway. "The State Department is involved now," she said in a low voice. "This is becoming a major diplomatic incident. The Nularian government has sent a message demanding we return their delegation immediately. Including Zara, she can't be moved in this condition. They're sending a medical ship, but it won't arrive for 9 days. Director Carter's face was grim. "They've made it very clear that they don't want us attempting any treatment. They say our interference could make things worse." Alan frowned. So we just let her die? Those are our orders? Carter said. I'm sorry, Alan. I know you want to help, but this is bigger than us now. Politicians and diplomats are making the decisions. After she left, Alan returned to Zara's bedside. Kreltor was gone, presumably to communicate with his people. Alan looked at the unconscious alien woman and made a decision. He walked quickly to the research lab where his friend Sam was working late. Sam looked up from his microscope in surprise. I need your help, Alan said without preamble. Sam listened as Alan explained the situation. When he finished, Sam whistled softly. You're talking about directly violating orders from the State Department. I'm talking about saving a life, Alan corrected. Will you help me? Sam was quiet for a long moment. What's the plan? For the next several hours, they worked feverishly. Alan explained his theory. They could modify a human dialysis machine to perform some of the functions of Zara's bioregulator. It wouldn't be a perfect replacement, but it might keep her alive until proper help arrived. The principle is similar to treating certain human metabolic disorders, Alan explained as they worked. We need to create an external system that can synthesize the enzyme she needs and deliver it to her bloodstream, with equipment designed for human physiology, Sam pointed out. This is crazy, Alan. Got a better idea? They worked through the night, borrowing equipment from different departments, modifying software, and running simulations. By morning, they had a prototype crude by Nalarian standards, but potentially functional. Alan finally returned to the medical bay, exhausted but hopeful. He stopped short at the door. Dr. Olivia Carter stood by Zara's bed, along with 2 security officers. Going somewhere with that equipment, Dr. Wright? Carter asked coldly. Alan straightened his shoulders. I've developed a possible treatment. Against direct orders, yes. Carter sighed. The Nalarian delegation has made their position clear. They don't want our help. They believe our technology is too primitive. They're scared, Alan said. And they're right to be. But Zara will die before their medical ship arrives. This might. Buy her time. It might kill her faster, Carter countered. Then at least we tried. The standoff was interrupted when one of the monitoring machines began beeping rapidly. Zara's vital signs were dropping. The door burst open and Kreltor rushed in, followed by 2 other Nalarians. What's happening? A human doctor checked the readings. She's deteriorating faster than expected. Her system is shutting down. Kreltor's skin turned almost black with distress. This cannot be. The projections gave us more time. Alan stepped forward. I have a treatment that might help. He explained his modified dialysis system quickly, speaking in technical terms he knew the scientifically advanced Nalarians would understand. Kreltor stared at the makeshift device. This is ... primitive. Yes, Alan agreed. But the principle is sound. It won't cure her, but it might keep her alive until your medical ship arrives. It could kill her. She's dying right now, Alan said softly. The monitors beeped more urgently. Zara's breathing had become shallow and irregular. Kreltor looked at his dying colleague, then at the human doctor. His skin shifted colors rapidly as he struggled with the decision. Finally, he turned to the other Nalarians and spoke rapidly in their language. They argued briefly, their tones musical even in disagreement. At last, Kreltor turned back to Alan. Proceed, Director Carter stepped forward. Ambassador, I must advise against this. The State Department will have to deal with me, Kreltor interrupted. This is now a Nalarian matter, and I am taking responsibility. He looked at Alan. Save her, Dr. Wright. The next hour was tense. Alan and Sam worked to connect their device to Zara's circulatory system, with guidance from the Nalarian medical data. The human doctors assisted reluctantly, clearly uncomfortable with the unauthorized procedure. Starting enzyme synthesis now? Alan said, activating the final sequence. If this works, we should see improvement within minutes. Everyone watched the monitors anxiously. For several long moments, nothing changed. Then, almost imperceptibly, Zara's vital signs began to stabilize. It's working, Sam whispered. Alan watched as the artificial enzyme flowed into Zara's bloodstream. The color of her skin improved slightly, shifting from gray back toward blue. Her breathing became stronger. Krelter's shoulders sagged with relief. "You've bought her time, Dr. Wright." "That's all I was trying to do," Alan said. He suddenly felt the exhaustion of the past 24 hours hit him all at once. He sat down heavily in a chair beside Zara's bed. Director Carter touched his shoulder. "This isn't over, Alan. There will be consequences." "I know," he said, not taking his eyes off his patient. "But right now, I don't care." As the others filed out of the room, Alan stayed. The machine hummed beside him, performing its life-saving function. It wasn't elegant or advanced by Nalarian standards, but it worked. Human ingenuity and determination had bought Zara precious time, and somewhere in the vastness of space, an Nalarian medical ship was racing toward Earth. Alan woke with a start. His neck hurt from sleeping in the chair beside Zara's bed. The machine he had built continued to hum steadily. He checked the monitors. Zara's condition remained stable, but she hadn't regained consciousness. "You should get some real sleep," said a voice from the doorway. It was Lisa, one of the security officers who had been assigned to the medical bay. Alan stretched his stiff muscles. "I'm fine." "You've been here for 36 hours straight," Lisa pointed out. "Even doctors need rest." Before Alan could respond, the door opened again. Sam entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Alan. "How's our patient?" Sam asked. "Stable," Alan said. "The enzyme production is working, but I'm worried about how long the machine can maintain the correct balance. It wasn't designed for this." They were interrupted by the arrival of Krelter and another Nalarian. The ambassador's skin had returned to its normal blue hue, suggesting his emotional state had improved. "Dr. Wright," Krelter said formally. "The Nalarian High Council has requested a direct communication with you." Alan blinked in surprise. "With me? Why?" "They wish to understand your treatment method. I've explained what you've done, but they want to hear from you directly." Alan followed the Nalarians to their temporary quarters where a communication device had been set up. A holographic image appeared, an elderly Nalarian with elaborate markings on his face and neck. "This is Council Elder Vexmar," Krelter said. "Elder, this is Dr. Alan Wright." The elder's eyes studied Alan intently. "So you are the human who interfered with Zaravik's treatment?" Alan straightened his shoulders. "I created a temporary solution to keep her alive until your medical ship arrives, using human technology on a Nalarian body." The elder's tone made it clear what he thought of that idea. "Yes," Alan said simply, "it was that or let her die." The elder was silent for a moment. "Explain your method." For the next 20 minutes, Alan described his modified dialysis system in detail. He explained how he had adapted it to produce a synthetic version of the VEX7 enzyme based on the Nalarian medical data. When he finished, the elder was quiet again. "Primitive," he said finally, "but clever. You understand that this is only delaying the inevitable?" "With respect, Elder," Alan said, "I don't accept that. Your medical ship will be here in 7 days. My treatment will keep her alive until then." "Perhaps," the elder conceded. "But there is something you should know, Dr. Wright, something Krelter was not authorized to tell you." Alan glanced at Krelter, whose skin had darkened slightly. "Zaravik is not just a scientist," the elder continued. "She is Zaravik Naushar, daughter of the High House of Naushar. Her father is the leader of our ruling council." Alan's eyes widened. "She's royalty?" "We do not use that term, but yes. Her position in our society is significant if she dies. On Earth, during this first contact, it would severely damage relations between our worlds." Now Alan understood the gravity of the situation and why the Nalarians had been so hesitant to let humans treat her. The stakes were even higher than he'd realized. "I give you my word," Alan said. "I will do everything in my power to keep her alive until your medical ship arrives." The elder nodded. "We are watching, Dr. Wright." The hologram disappeared. Alan turned to Krelter. "You could have told me who she was. Would it have changed your actions?" Krelter asked. Alan thought about it. "No, a life is a life." Krelter's skin lightened slightly. Approval, Alan had learned. That is why I trusted you. When they returned to the medical bay, they found Director Carter waiting. Her expression was serious. The State Department is sending a representative, she told Alan. They're not happy about what you've done. I don't care, Alan said. Zara is my patient now. This could end your career, Alan. He shrugged. Some things are more important. As if responding to his voice, Zara stirred slightly on the bed. Her eyelids fluttered. Alan moved quickly to her side. Zara? Can you hear me? Her eyes opened slowly, their deep purple color cloudy with confusion. She blinked several times, focusing on Alan's face. Dr. Wright, her voice was weak. Yes, you're in the medical bay. Your bioregulator malfunctioned. She tried to sit up but was too weak. I remember feeling it fail, then nothing. Her gaze moved to the machine beside her bed. What is that? It's a human dialysis machine that I've modified to produce VEC7 enzyme for your system. Her eyes widened. That's impossible. Human technology cannot ... It's not elegant, Alan admitted, but it works. It's keeping you alive until your medical ship arrives. Zara looked at Krelter, who nodded confirmation. She turned back to Alan. You risk creating this. For me, it was the right thing to do. A faint blue flush spread across her gray skin, emotion of some kind. Thank you, she whispered. The moment was interrupted by a commotion in the hallway. The door opened, and a stern-looking man in a dark suit entered, followed by two military. Officers, Dr. Alan Wright? The man asked. Yes. I'm Agent Frank Miller, State Department. You're to cease this unauthorized treatment immediately and turn the patient over to the Narration delegation. Alan stood his ground. If I disconnect this machine, she will die before their medical ship arrives. That's not our concern, Miller said coldly. This is a diplomatic matter now. You've violated direct orders and potentially endangered relations with an alien civilization. Actually, Krelter interrupted, stepping forward, Dr. Wright is acting with full Narration authorization. I granted it myself, Miller looked skeptical. Our understanding was that your government wanted no human interference. That was before. We understood Dr. Wright's solution, Krelter said smoothly. He has been in direct communication with our High Council. They approve of his treatment. Miller's face showed surprise, then suspicion. He turned to his aides and spoke in a low voice. After a brief discussion, he turned back to Alan. This isn't over, Dr. Wright. We'll be watching this situation very closely. After they left, Alan turned to Krelter. Thank you, the Narration inclined his head. You saved her life. I merely spoke the truth. From her bed, Zara watched this exchange with interest. It seems, she said weakly, that humans are full of surprises. Alan checked her vital signs, which were improving steadily. We try our best. As he adjusted the machine settings, he realized something important had just happened. In this room, humans and Narratians had worked together, trusted each other, to save a life. It was a small beginning, but perhaps it was enough. 4 days had passed since Zara's collapse. The research facility had become the center of international attention. News vans camped outside the gates. Government officials came and went. Through it all, Alan maintained his focus on one thing. Only, keeping Zara alive, the makeshift treatment was working better than anyone had expected. Zara was now fully conscious and growing stronger each day. She sat up in bed, watching Alan as he checked the machine's readings. You look tired, she said. Alan smiled. I'm fine. You humans say that even when you're not, Zara observed. Your skin cannot change color to show your true state, yet you still try to hide it with words. Guilty as charged, Alan admitted. He sat down in the chair beside her bed. How are you feeling? Better. The pain is less today. She looked at the machine. Your creation continues to surprise me. On my world, they said humans were centuries behind us technologically. We are, in many ways, Alan said. But sometimes simple solutions work just as well as complex ones. Their conversation was interrupted when Sam entered the room looking worried. What's wrong? Alan asked immediately. The modified enzyme synthesizer is starting to fail, Sam said in a low voice, trying not to alarm Zara. "The output is becoming inconsistent." Alan's heart sank. They had built the machine quickly, using parts that weren't designed for continuous operation at this level. It was beginning to break down, just as he had feared. "How long do we have?" he asked. Sam shook his head. "Hard to say, maybe 12 hours. We're trying to find replacement parts, but some of the components are specialized." Zara, who had been listening, spoke up. "Is there a problem with the machine?" Alan hesitated, then decided honesty was best. "Yes, it's beginning to fail. We're working on it." Fear flickered across Zara's face, turning her skin a darker blue. "The medical ship is still 3 days away." "We'll figure something out," Alan promised. "We've come too far to give up now." He left the room with Sam, and they hurried to the lab where a team of engineers was already working on the problem. "The enzyme production rate is dropping," one engineer explained, showing Alan the data. "We've tried recalibrating, but the synthetic membranes are degrading faster than expected." Alan studied the readings. "We need to rebuild the main synthesis chamber with new materials." "We don't have the right components," Sam pointed out. "Everything we used before came from different departments around the facility." "We've already used all the compatible parts?" "Then we need to look elsewhere," Alan said. "What about the university in Phoenix?" "They have a major bioengineering department." "It's worth a try," Sam agreed. "But even if they have what we need, it will take time to get the parts here and rebuild the system." "Time is the one thing we don't have," Alan said grimly, back in the medical bay. Krelter had joined Zara. They were speaking in their own language when Alan returned. "Ambassador," Alan said, "we have a situation." He explained the problem with the machine. Krelter's skin darkened with concern. "Can it be fixed?" the ambassador asked. "Yes, but we need parts we don't have here. We're trying to locate them, but it will take time." Krelter was silent for a moment. "What if we could help you build something better?" Alan looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" "Our ship contains certain technologies, not medical equipment, but components that might be adapted. You'd share your technology with us?" Alan was stunned. The Nularians had been extremely protective of their advanced tech. To save Zara's life, yes. Krelter's voice was firm. "The High Council has authorized it." For the next several hours, Alan worked closely with 2 Nularian engineers who brought components from their ship. The alien technology was fascinating, smaller, more efficient, and more powerful than anything humans had developed. With their help, Alan designed a new enzyme synthesis system that would be more stable and effective. Word of this collaboration spread quickly through the facility. Scientists from various departments offered help. Even Director Carter, who had been keeping her distance due to the political complications, came to observe. "This is unprecedented," she said to Alan during a brief break. "The first true technological exchange between our species." "Born of necessity," Alan replied. "Sometimes that's how the best partnerships start." As they worked, Alan noticed something interesting. The Nularian engineers were learning from the humans just as the humans were learning from them. The aliens were impressed by the creative, sometimes unorthodox approaches the human scientists used to solve problems. "Your species thinks differently than ours," one Nularian engineer commented. "You see connections we miss." By evening, the new system was ready. It was a true hybrid, part human, part Nularian technology. Together, they brought it to the medical bay where Zara waited anxiously. The old machine was failing rapidly now, its output down to critical levels. "We need to make the switch quickly," Alan told Zara. "There will be a brief period when you're not receiving the enzyme. It might be uncomfortable." Zara nodded bravely. "I trust you, Dr. Wright." The medical team worked efficiently. They disconnected the old system and quickly hooked up the new one. Zara grimaced in pain as the enzyme flow temporarily stopped. Her skin turned ashen gray. "Stay with me, Zara," Alan said, watching her vital signs drop alarmingly on the monitor. The new machine hummed to life. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the indicators began to rise. The hybrid system was working even better than the original. Color returned to Zara's skin. She took a deep breath, then another. It feels different, she said. Stronger. Alan, check the readings. The enzyme synthesis is more efficient. You're getting a purer form than before. Krelter examined the hybrid machine with obvious interest. This is remarkable. A true merging of our technologies. And it will keep her stable until your medical ship arrives, Alan said confidently. Later that night, when most of the excitement had died down, Alan sat alone with Zara. She was sleeping peacefully, her condition more stable than it had been. Since the crisis began, Sam entered quietly and handed Alan a cup of coffee. You did it, he said. Again, we did it, Alan corrected. All of us together. The news is calling you a hero, Sam said. First human to save an alien life. Alan shook his head. I'm just a doctor who had a patient who needed help. A patient. From another world. Still just a patient. Alan looked at Zara's sleeping form. In the dim light, with her blue skin and delicate features, she did look alien. Yet in the ways that mattered, her courage, her trust, her will to live, she was not so different from any human. Sam left, and Alan continued his vigil. Outside the window, stars glittered in the night sky. Somewhere up there, in the Narration, medical ship was racing toward Earth, and when it arrived, things between their worlds would never be the same again. The Narration medical ship arrived on the 7th day. It descended from the clouds like a silver teardrop, graceful and silent. Unlike the smaller diplomatic vessel, this ship was massive, designed for medical emergencies and staffed with the finest doctors from NYL area. Alan stood on the landing pad with the rest of the welcoming committee. Beside him, Zara sat in a hover chair. She was much stronger now, but still needed the hybrid machine, which had been modified to be portable. Her skin had returned to its natural vibrant blue. Nervous? Alan asked her quietly. Zara smiled. Little. I haven't seen my father in over a year. This revelation still surprised Alan. The daughter of Nalaria's leader had been his patient for a week, and he had known her true identity for only part of that time. She had never acted entitled or demanded special treatment. The medical ship landed, and a ramp extended from its side. A procession of Nalarians emerged, led by a tall, distinguished figure whose elaborate clothing marked him as someone of great importance. Zara straightened in her chair. The High Counselor, Krelter murmured to Alan. The Nalarian leader walked directly to his daughter. For a moment, he simply looked at her. Then he placed his hands on her shoulders, and what Alan had learned was a gesture of deep affection among their people. My daughter, he said, his voice deep and musical, you have faced great danger with courage. Father, Zara replied. I am well, thanks to Dr. Wright and the humans who helped him. The High Counselor turned to Alan. His gaze was intense but not unfriendly. Dr. Alan Wright, your name will be remembered on Nalaria. Alan bowed. Slightly. I only did what any doctor would do. No, the High Counselor said firmly. You did what no one has done before. You bridged the gap between our technologies and saved a life precious to us all. A team of Nalarian doctors approached, eager to examine Zara and the hybrid machine. They spoke rapidly in their language, clearly amazed by what they saw. They're impressed, Zara translated for Alan. They say the machine shouldn't work, but it does. They call it ... I don't know how to translate it exactly ... Perhaps elegantly primitive? Alan laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. The head Nalarian doctor addressed the High Counselor. We should transfer her to our medical systems immediately. Alan felt a strange pang as they began disconnecting the hybrid machine from Zara. For a week, her life had literally been in his hands. Now his job was done. Zara seemed to sense his feelings. This isn't goodbye, Dr. Wright, she said. It's just the beginning. As the Nalarian medical team prepared to move Zara to their ship, Director Carter approached Alan. The President is on the line, she said. He wants to speak with you. Alan was led to a secure communication room. On the screen was the President of the United States, looking both serious and impressed. Dr. Wright, the President said, you've caused quite a stir in diplomatic circles. I apologize for any complications, Mr. President. The President waved. This away, Sometimes the right action creates complications. The Nilarian High Council has expressed their deep gratitude for what you did. They've also proposed something extraordinary, an exchange program for medical knowledge and technology. Alan was stunned. Really? Yes, and they specifically requested that you lead the human side of this exchange. By the time Alan returned to the landing pad, Zara had been moved to the medical ship. The High Counselor was preparing to board as... Well, but he paused when he saw Alan. "Dr. Wright," he said, "we are in your debt. When Zara has fully recovered, we would be honored if you would visit our world. There's much our people could learn from each other." "I would be honored, Alan," replied Dot. The High Counselor nodded. "Until then..." He turned and boarded the ship. As the ramp closed, Alan caught a final glimpse of Zara. She raised her hand in farewell, and he did the same. The medical ship rose silently into the sky and disappeared among the clouds. 3 months later, Alan stood in the same spot, watching another Nilarian ship descend. This time he was the one departing. He would be the first human to visit the Nilarian homeworld, leading a small team of scientists in the newly established exchange program. Sam stood beside him, also selected for the mission. "Nervous?" he asked, echoing Alan's question to Zara months earlier. "A little," Alan admitted. "It's a big responsibility." "Just think of it as making a house call to check on your patient," Sam joked. The ship landed, and the ramp extended. Standing there, to Alan's surprise, was Zara. She looked completely healthy, her skin a vibrant blue that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. "Dr. Wright," she said formally, then broke into a smile. "Alan, welcome, Zara," he said, returning her smile. "You look well, thanks to you." She gestured to the ship behind her. "Are you ready to see my world?" Alan picked up his bag. The weeks ahead would be challenging, learning new customs, adapting to an alien environment, building bridges between two very different civilizations. But if their success with the hybrid machine had taught him anything, it was that differences could become strengths when people work together. "I'm ready," he said. As they boarded the ship, Alan thought about how it had all started, with a medical emergency and an impossible choice. He had done what others thought was unthinkable, used human technology to save an alien life. In doing so, he had changed the relationship between two worlds forever. The ship rose into the sky, carrying Alan toward a new chapter in human history. Below, the research facility grew smaller until it was just a speck in the Arizona desert. Ahead lay the stars, and beyond them a world waiting to be discovered. Zara joined him at the viewing window. "My people have a saying," she said. "The bravest journeys begin with a single step taken in faith." Alan nodded. "On Earth we say something similar. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. It seems our worlds have more in common than we thought," Zara said. As Earth receded behind them and the stars opened up ahead, Alan knew she was right. Despite their differences, the color of their skin, the worlds they called home, the technologies they had developed, humans and Nilarians shared something fundamental: the capacity for courage, for trust, and for doing the unthinkable when it mattered most.